What's going on, everyone? So, per Daniel RPK, who he is the insider, right? Like, he's the one that has relayed a lot of information. Again, always take this stuff, though, as a grain of salt. Until it's actually confirmed by the studio and until you actually get that actual confirmation, always take it with a grain of salt. I know Daniel RPK has been pretty spot on about stuff, but still, right? You never know until it's not official, until it's official. However, breaking: Patrick Dempsey will officially return to Scream 7. And Scream News, who further follows this up, I hear that Patrick Dempsey is going to shoot during the third week of January. So you have two separate sources that have confirmed that Patrick Dempsey is returning for Scream 7. But again, this isn't the actual studio. This isn't that. So just, again, I don't want people to get their hopes up and then be incredibly disappointed if it doesn't happen or, whatever, right? Now, here's the thing. We don't know how much he's going to shoot, how big of a role he's going to play, right? It could be a day thing, right? Like, who knows? Like, he could be there for a month. Who knows, right? So we'll see how this plays out. But going under the assumption that this is true, this is huge, right? Because, I mean, you had to have him in this movie, right? Like, at what point does it become, criminal that Sidney's husband just keeps letting Sidney take on Ghostface without him being involved? Even if you die, right? At some point, you got to do it, right? Like, that or Scream needs to just have some BS explanation, right? Like, and, I saw people like, oh, what if Sidney's divorced and a single mother? Like, it's so silly after they set up and established that she's been married for the last 25 years and now is divorced randomly. Like, it's just, and we never got to actually see that play out. Like, it's silly to me, right? Like, I'm glad that they were able to secure this and get this done. Again, going under the assumption, because you have to have him in this, right? I'm not saying he has to play a huge role. I'm not saying he has to be the main focus or anything like that. I'm not saying he has to, lead the charge. But you need to see that dynamic, right? I've said it. Like, I want to see, what does Mark Kincaid and Sidney's relationship look like, right? Is Mark Kincaid a great husband? Is he an abusive husband? Is he kind of, aggressive? Is he kind of passive, right? Is he, like, how is he? Is he just the perfect, white picket fenced marriage? Is their marriage a little toxic? Is their marriage just kind of like, like your typical marriage? Like, what is it, right? Like, I want to know, how is Mark Kincaid as a father? Is he a great father? Is he cool dad? Mom's the kind of overprotective one, and Mark Kincaid, he's the cool dad. Like, hey, don't ask mom, ask dad, right? Like, how is he? Is he a good father? Is he a bad father, right? What is it, right? Is he running around cheating on his wife all the time? Like, what is it? I want to know what the deal is, right? Same thing with Sidney. How is she as a wife? Is she a great wife? Does she have all these walls and all these guards up to where, she can be a little difficult, right? Is she, is she kind of aggressive? Is she kind of passive, right? Like, how is it? I know you can't imagine Sidney being that, but it's very, like, relationships, you never know, right? Like, there's a lot that needs to be answered. Sidney as a mother, how is she as a mother? Is she cool? Is she overprotective? Is she overbearing? Does she pretend to be cool, but she really is overprotective and overbearing, right? Like, she lets her kids go out, but, like, she, like, monitors them and follows them and they just don't know, right? Like, all of these things I'd love to see. And all these things are things that can be answered and resolved rather quickly. I want a scene with the family setting, right? Like, I want a scene where we see, Mark and Sidney together and, their love and all of it, right? Good or bad, or, a bit of both. I want to see it. Is Mark super overprotective of Sidney because of her past? And he is aware of her past and he knows, right? Like, what does he do for a living? Is he a detective? There were rumors, like a month or two ago that he was like a stay-at-home dad. Sidney Prescott apparently owns a bar, right? Or a restaurant. They're even filming at a bar or a restaurant, right? So something else, right? Like, so if that's the case, is it just in Sidney's name? Is it Sidney's Mark's name? right? Is that what Mark does? Is he like the bartender or the manager at the bar, right? Because you got to imagine Sidney probably doesn't trust a bunch of people. Is she gonna have a bunch of employees that at any moment can turn around and kill her? Probably not, right? Like you got to imagine she probably keeps it really close and really in house. But who knows? I mean, you got to think Sidney hasn't been attacked by Ghostface because yeah, she was in Scream 5, but she wasn't the target, right? She came. Ghostface didn't go to her, so she hasn't been targeted by Ghostface since Scream 3. So at this point, it'll be 30 years since she was targeted, right? So it's just kind of like, how does she take that? Or, right? Or not, Scream 4, right? You have Scream 4. But even then, right? Like, she wasn't necessarily the target, right? Like, Jill wanted to become her, right? Sidney showed up, right? Sidney was doing her book tour. So, because I know people are going to be like, well, what about Scream 4? What do you mean she hasn't been targeted? Like, well, again, like Jill's targets were her friend group. She wanted to replicate what Sidney went through back in 96, right? So Sidney wasn't directly there. Like she wasn't after Sidney. She wanted Sidney's life. And she thought she was going to get the opportunity to kill her. But she still, like, it's not like the plan couldn't have went down if Sidney never showed up. Like, if Sidney was still a recluse in the woods, Jill still could have done her plan. Like, she didn't need Sidney to do her plan, is my point. So, just wanted to kind of clarify on that. But, like I said, I digress. I'm excited. This Scream film has all the elements to be one of, if not the best sequels. I don't think anything will outdo 96, but this has the opportunity to really, be arguably the best sequel, if not the best sequel. You have Kevin Williamson, who's back at the helm. This are his characters. This is who he loves, right? This is his baby. On top of that, right? Solid cast. You got Sidney and Gail again. Just got back Patrick Dempsey, Mark Kincaid. Ghostface, I think one of the few things that they've done really well in Scream 5 and 6 is Ghostface, making him not as clumsy and goofy, or her, right? Making them not as clumsy or goofy as they have been in the past, and, just much more brutal, much more to the point, in and out, get it done type thing. I really like that. I really appreciate that about this Scream, this version of it. I hope that they keep that up. Look, I've even talked about, like, if you took Scream 5 and Scream 6's Ghostface and kind of married them together, you'd have the perfect Ghostface. And what I mean by that is like that militant, trained style Ghostface mixed with just the brutality and no nonsense from Scream 5. Like, I want Ghostface, like when you see Ghostface, whoever the target is not making it out. Whoever we're about to see on film that's it. They're gone. Right? That's the kind of Ghostface that I want. That's what I'm kind of hoping from this upcoming Scream movie. And we'll see. Time will tell. But, I've seen a lot of people throw out, like, oh, what if Patrick Dempsey is the killer? I don't see that. So you're telling me this dude's, like, sleeping next to Sidney for the last 30 years and then just randomly decides to kill her? Right? Like, what have you been doing the last 30 years? You've had more opportunities than probably anybody. You've gotten closer to Sidney than pretty much anybody. I mean, you've had intimate moments with Sidney to where you could, easily just take her out without her knowing, right? Like, she's taking a shower and you could just handle it, right? Like, I don't really buy that. I also think that would just be silly at this point. They've been trying to get Patrick Dempsey back in Scream since Scream 4, right? Like, but point is I don't see that happening. I don't, like, again, I could be wrong. It's just my opinion. I just don't see them going that route where Patrick Dempsey is now going to be the killer. I just think it doesn't make sense. It's silly. Could there be something where, like, I wouldn't hate the idea of, like, maybe Patrick Dempsey was involved back in, Scream 3, right, back in 2000, but, his obsession was Sidney. So now that he got Sidney, he stopped, and, like, you could do something cool in that regard. But regardless, I'm glad that they brought him back. I'm glad they were able to get him back. Especially after, you had to have imagined that they had some idea that they could get him back. I would hope that the writers and stuff wouldn't have written him in as Sidney's husband, not knowing that they could get Patrick Dempsey back at some point. And one of the reasons why I said that I thought he would be back is because he's doing another film for Spyglass. So I don't see them, I don't see him not being willing to come back for this film. Right? So I do think it's very interesting. I do think, there's a lot of potential here. And I'm really excited about that. I think that there is real opportunity to really hit on this Scream movie. And I hope that they do. I hope that they take it serious. I hope that they really kind of focus and lock down. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you agree with my points? Disagree with my points? What do you think of Patrick Dempsey's return to Scream? Are you excited to see Mark Kincaid back into a Scream movie? However you feel, whatever your thoughts are, let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.